Alright, fellas, this one is going to be a doozy, so pay attention. Today, me and Michael are going to explain to you one of the most confusing aspects of the FNAF lore, that being Happiest Day from FNAF 3.
I'm also here to offer emotional support.
Get your very own emotional support, Michael, for only $10.99 at your local Freddy's, while supplies last.
For those who aren't aware, Happiest Day is a retro 8-bit minigame that you can play in FNAF 3. However, unlike the normal 8-bit scenes that you play after beating each night, you can only access Happiest Day by clicking on a drawing of the puppet in Camo 3.
It is but one of multiple secret levels in FNAF 3. The others include BB's Air Adventure, Mangle's Quest, Chica's Party, Stage 01, and whatever the hell this one is. In each minigame, you play as a different sprite, barring Mangle. Each sprite gives a cake to a lost soul.
After giving each ghost a cake, they will appear in the Happiest Day level. These spirits are my father's victims, of course. Such is made obvious when one final cake is given to the fifth spirit in this minigame. After doing so, each ghost will don a mask that matches the animatronic they once possessed.
Those little brats had it coming, Michael. Anyway, it's worth noting that there is technically a sixth spirit in Happiest Day, that being the puppet, or rather Charlotte Emily. She's the sprite you actually play as in Happiest Day.
Once that last cake is given, and all the children are wearing their masks, their forms disappear, and their masks begin to slowly fall to the floor. Notably, both the puppet and Golden Freddy's mask fall slightly slower than the others.
It's generally agreed upon that this implies Charlie and the fifth spirit haven't actually moved on yet like the others have. But there's something else we should mention now, because it's very important going forward. That being the fact that FNAF 3 was originally intended to be the final game in the series.
It's true. Scott Cawthon had always envisioned FNAF as a trilogy, but when FNAF 3 came out and people criticized the game for not being scary, Scott felt inclined to do one more game to make up for FNAF 3's lacking horror.
But then people complained about FNAF 4's complicated and confusing narrative. And then they complained about FNAF World because it was, well, FNAF World. Then we got a sister location, and Pizzeria Simulator, and yada yada yada.
Point being, the franchise has had a lot of points where it was intended to end, but for one reason or another, didn't. Infamously, Scott has gone on record to say that he's only ever made one retcon. Granted, this post was made after Sister Location's Custom Night release, and only about 3 months before FNAF 6 was released, but we've had quite a few more installments since then, so it might not be the most up-to-date statement he's made.
That said, Michael, it's still most likely true in regards to the original story. We can also deduce that the retcon would have been made between FNAF 1 and FNAF 6, since Pizzeria Simulator was close to release when he made that retcon post.
That all to say, the retcon in question is most likely Happiest Day's meaning. At first glance, you'd certainly assume this is when the spirits of the children are set free, but then again, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that the Funtime animatronics from Sister Location, and therefore Molten Freddy in FFPS, contain the spirits of my father's victims.
With that in mind, Happiest Day's context has most likely been retconned to give the minigame a different purpose, that being to free the crying child, instead of freeing the rest of those little whelps.
Wait, come again?
What, you don't agree?
Did you really just refer to your own son by the nickname everybody else refers to him as?
I might have forgot what I named him.
Good lord. Anyway, my dad is correct. Happiest Day is most likely a party for the crying child. Note that Happiest Day's layout is very similar to that of Fredbear's from FNAF 4, merely flipped. It's also worth noting that Cassidy tells the crying child in the survivor logbook that the party was for him.
Wait a minute, so you don't remember his name either? You're such a hypocrite, Michael.
You might be wondering why we play as such particular characters in the other minigames tied to Happiest Day, that would be because those sprites are the fragments of the crying child's fractured memory.
In the survival logbook Michael previously mentioned, Cassidy asks various questions in what seems to be an attempt to jog the crying child's memory. In FNAF World, we can play secret minigames that reference back to FNAF 3's own secret minigames. As a matter of fact, those clock minigames from FNAF World seem to be setting up the pieces required to achieve Happiest Day.
Glitch Bear is the one that sends us on a quest to complete those clock levels. He specifically says that we have to leave breadcrumbs for him to help him find his way. Those breadcrumbs being the sprites we play as in FNAF 3's Happiest Day levels.
And guess what? Each of those sprites tie back to things the crying child saw in FNAF 4. The beakless toy Chica figure, the bits of Mangle in Elizabeth Afton's bedroom, and even that fat kid with a balloon.
And of course, Fredbear was the animatronic that killed the crying child.
Wrong! You're the one that shoved him into Fredbear's mouth, Michael.
Tomato, tomato.
The reason the other guests are necessary for Happiest Day is most likely because they each carry a piece of the crying child's soul with them. Duly note that although he was terrified of the animatronics, the characters themselves he treated as his friends.
The general idea would be that he attached himself to them, and by putting the pieces of the crying child's soul and memory back together, we not only free him, but also remove a tether keeping the other spirits trapped as well.
But hey, that's just a theory, Michael. A gay theory. Thanks for watching.
It's game theory, Father.